Our next comic book is Forever Evil issue number 1 with writer Jeff Johns and returning artist David Finch. Where was this guy? He's been doing art for Justice League of America, but he only went up to issue number 3. What happened? Did your balls drop off? I am joking, of course. I'm still a fan of his art, and he really brings his A game in this issue. So the comic opens up with Lex Luthor in a helicopter talking to Thomas Cord, the subsequential CEO of Cord Industries, and we don't really know why Lex is going after him, but he is going after him viciously. He says if he doesn't comply that he's going to go after his family, and Lex Luthor gives one of the most diabolical threats I've ever heard, and just you believe him when he's telling Thomas this. He's definitely threatening. But before Cord can actually surrender his company to Lex, the helicopter just gets hit by an unknown object, and then they start spiraling out of control, and they just so happen to land in LexCorp building. And if you were to land in a specific area, I'm pretty sure you'd like it to be the base of your operations, because that's where you probably store all your weapons and shit. So luckily he did that. We cut away, and the Grid, this newest villain that's part of the Syndicate, is basically hacking into Gotham, and essentially we'll see what his plan does next, but he's in there, he's doing his hacking thing. We see he's looking at some monitors. We'll figure out what he's doing there. We meet up with Nightwing, and he's just swinging around. He has Victor Zsasz in his hands, and he's taking him back to Arkham Asylum. And while, he's there, he actually sees a mysterious figure go up to Arkham Asylum doors, subsequently rip them open. So, of course, Nightwing springs into action. He's also talking to Batgirl on the line, but then he has to get off. So Batgirl knows something's up. Then back at LexCorp, Lex Luthor sees Superman essentially just ramming into his building, invading it, ripping some doors. He's looking for something. We don't know what it actually is. We cut back to, but we go to Central City at Iron Heights Penitentiary. And the Rogues, Flash's villains, are trying to escape. They notice a mysterious figure who has actually been able to break the walls of, Iron Heights. And then we go to Belle Rev, and the exact same thing happens there. And this is all being witnessed by Amanda Waller in Black Manta. Now back to LexCorp, where Superman is crushing kryptonite in his hands, heating it up, and then snorting it. But then we find out that it's Ultraman. Yes, Ultraman has just fucking snorted kryptonite and just takes off into the night with the monitor saying, "The world is ours." We cut back to Arkham Asylum, and all of the villains in Arkham Asylum are wondering why the fuck they're out and who broke down the gate. And they notice they have the coins that we saw in Trinity War, and if you know what that is, you know who it belongs to. And then we go to Happy Harbor, basically the remains of what was the Watchtower. And there's this really nice fold-out page that has basically almost every single New 52 DC supervillain there, and we notice who's actually there. So all the villains are just kind of huddled around Happy Harbor and the Watchtower. They don't know why they're there. They're kind of pissed off at each other. Villains you got all these different egos. I really like how Deathstroke is threatening Gorilla Grodd, saying that he needs something new to mount on his wall. I thought that was pretty funny. Jeff Johns is always good at doing that. And then all we see is basically pieces of the Justice League being thrown down, like Aquaman's trident, Superman's cape, Wonder Woman's lasso, and then we get, I guess this would probably go into spoilers now, so if you definitely want to see the end of this video, click the link on the screen right now, and it'll take you to my verdict, my out of 5 score for this. So definitely check that out. And we're about to be in spoiler territory. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, we figure out, if you actually happen reading Trinity War, you'll figure out that it is the Crime Syndicate. Crime Syndicate tells all the villains that the Justice League is dead, and now the world is theirs, and that they should join them or essentially be obliterated. Ultraman makes an example out of one of the villains that calls out their bullshit. But everyone seems to be like, pretty on board for this. To seal the deal of them really being the bad guys, they bring out Nightwing and they take off his mask in front of everyone in front of live television, actually, because the grid is broadcasting this around the world. So we actually some of the panels have Batgirl and the Teen Titans there, and not only do they reveal his identity, they give like background information, like the news article of when his parents died in the Flying Graysons Act, and even like his I think they have his driver's license. I was like, wow, seriously, Grid? It's kind of a dick. After the huge meeting, all the rest of the villains kind of go off in their own individual groups, which will span into more comic book series like Arkham Wars and etc. But Ultraman, when the sun comes up, he kind of gets hurt by the sun. So what he does is he actually, the comic ends with him moving the moon right in the direction of the sun, creating like an eclipse. And the comic ends with Lex Luthor kind of on his knees saying, where the fuck is Superman at? Forever Evil Part 1 is a really good issue because, for one thing, it sets up the story for the next issue and sets up the entire, Forever Evil crossover event, if you will. And it also has really good dialogue. I especially like the banter between the different villains. That was really cool. And, of course, the art. David Finch used to work on Batman the Dark Knight, and he had to draw a lot of different villains in Batman's Rogues. So to see him basically take on basically all of the fucking villains and how he draws them, especially in that twofold page, was really nice. There was some really nice art, and I thoroughly enjoyed this issue. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. This is definitely a solid start to an event that I hope is really great. And, of course, we have Villains Month.